I'm back, baby!
G'day all you mad blokes who like to knock back a few tinnies and have a punt on the pokies, and all those Sheilas who like a tipple and who fancy their chances at the daily double. This is SIDEBOOB Cinema, your podcast within a podcast. My name is Ricky Allpike, and joining me are my fellow Aussies, AJ and Jonathan Astro. Welcome to 2023. AJ, how's your day been so far?
That was really good. Well, you know, just knocking them back, sucking down on some darts, just keeping it real, playing some two-up.
Fucking
and
two-up.
Jono, mate. Jono.
Jono, how are you?
Yes. Well, I'm good. Yes. That was a great intro, Ricky.
It was.
It was a celebration of this great culture that we have here in Australia, which is why we're doing. Well, this is what we do every January in lead up to Invasion Day. We like to explore the Australian culture through film, and that's why we are doing Wake in Fright this week. 1971, Ted Kotcheff directs. I mean, I should probably say, welcome back to SIDEBOOB Cinema.
Woohoo!
You know. Yeah, I mean, it's all. If you missed Keeper or Creeper, if you missed the boobometer, then don't.
We're back, baby.
We're back, baby.
I'm back, baby!
Bigger than ever. They couldn't stop us. Can't stop, won't stop.
Don't forget the Me Too meter. That's back too.
Well, the Me Too meter is probably our signature feature.
I'd say so.
You know, we're the only ones who care about Me Too now. By the way. Everyone else has dropped the ball. Like, I mean, they don't care. They've all moved on, and I'm like, no, believe all women and trans women. So,
but everyone's like, no, they're believing Marilyn Manson.
they're like, I really like the dope show. I don't care about Amber Heard or whoever else. Anyway, all right, Wake in Fright. Now, is this the first time everyone's seen this movie?
Yes.
I have seen this movie at the cinema when it was re-released at the Perth Film Festival, otherwise known as Revelate, I believe.
Ooh.
Or is it Revelation?
The Revelation
Film
Festival.
Yes.
Revelate
Oh,
is
right
a small festival attached to it.
Ah, yes.
What a boring sentence.
Yes.
Anyway, Revelation Film Festival, Wake in Fright is what you saw on the big screen.
Yes, and then I've seen it a couple of times. I own it on DVD, so I've seen it a few times.
All right, you've laid down your bona fides. You're all over it. Yes, I'm similar. I've followed. 2009-ish was when it was rediscovered after it had been lost for 40 years, and it was huge. It was huge. I think you would have seen a little bit of it in Not Quite Hollywood. They show a little bit of it in Not Quite Hollywood, and the people include it as an exploitation. This is not an exploitation movie.
No, it's not.
That's a really stupid. That's such a marketing.
The producers wanted it to be a B grade sort of schlock film.
Yeah, right.
But Ted Kotcheff had different ideas. So
wow.
And he clashed with the producer about
this.
that.
Would have been a terrible B grade movie.
Mm.
This is. I got to go big. I got to go big. I mean, well, actually, I should probably just be honest, AJ, about what you felt about it and everything. But I'd got to say, I think this is the greatest Australian film ever made.
Boom.
Apologies to Chopper and Snowtown, but this is the greatest Australian film ever made. It looks and sounds amazing. The restoration is spectacular. Looks like it came out yesterday. Great stories about how they found it and restored it, which maybe we can get into. But this movie, I just think my first impression is that this is an astounding movie. But feel free to disagree. What
I totally agree. I think it's a masterpiece, and I think it's an important film and makes an important commentary on certain aspects of Australian life and
Australia.
The Australian psyche. Australia in general. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially at that time.
Yeah. Well, I've got a few things to say about this maybe after the synopsis, but I still feel the undercurrent of a lot of the drinking culture and some of the other stuff still there. I think.
All right. Well, now after we've just called it a masterpiece, AJ. I mean, you can say whatever you like. So now go.
It was very well done. I was very disturbed.
That's good. That's good. I mean,
It fucked me up.
Was it better than Felicity, or was that a better movie? I don't even know anymore.
Alvin Purple.
Alvin Purple.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it was fucked up. It was good.
New to the Yabba?
New to the Yabba.
All the little devils are proud of hell.
Do you mean you don't think the Yabba is the greatest little place on earth?
Could be worse.
How?
Supply of beer could run out.
Well, I think there's a lot to talk about. Let's get before we get into the particulars. Let's see if I can knock off this synopsis. So the film opens in the deep outback town of Tabunda. A schoolhouse sits by some railway tracks in the middle of nowhere. John Grant, played by Gary Bond, is a young school teacher. He dismisses his class and gets ready to take a vacation over the summer break. Takes a train to the town of Bundinyaba with the view of catching a flight to Sydney the following morning. So he's at a loose end. Grant pops into the local watering hole to have a cold beer. There he finds a generous drinking partner called Jock Crawford. Chips Rafferty is the actor's name, who is also the local constable. After a few rounds, Jock takes Grant to get a steak, and then he takes him to the local two-up arena before saying his farewells. So two-up, for anyone listening, is a type of gambling utilizing 2 coins. Okay. Grant meets a serious alcoholic, a former doctor called Doc Tyden, played by the great Donald Pleasance, and learns that the odds are pretty good for two-up that night. So Grant gives the game a go and wins big, okay? Around $400, probably the most he's ever had in his life. He hates his job as a school teacher, and if he only had a little more, he could get out altogether. So he heads back to the two-up circle, and you guessed it, he loses all of his cash. He's now trapped in the Yabba, with no job for the holidays, and by chance he hooks up with a kindly bloke called Tim Hines, who welcomes him into his home while he figures out what to do next. Grant meets Tim's bored and horny daughter, Jeanette, and
Horn dog.
And Tim's rowdy mates, Dick, played by Jack Thompson, and Joe. After more boozing, Grant connects with Jeanette and admits that he'd really like to go to London, to escape to London, I think is more what he's saying. They go for a midnight bushwalk and try to have sex, but Grant gets sick and throws up everywhere, somewhat killing the mood. They return to find that Doc Tyden has joined the party, and where Grant subsequently drinks until he passes out, waking up the next morning in Doc Tyden's shack. Doc offers his hospitality, and we also find out that he's got a little thing going on with Jeanette as well, so that's nice. Dick and Tim, the burly Aussies, roll up and take Grant and Doc on a raucous roo hunt before stopping in for a few drinks at a watering hole. They continue their roo shooting into the night, which culminates in Grant being dared into brutally stabbing a winged kangaroo, or a wounded kangaroo. After more drinks, Doc and Grant retire to his shack and finish the party together. In bed. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Buggery, AJ. If you catch my drift.
Straight up.
If you catch my drift. I don't want to be coarse. Anyway, at least it's implied that's what went on. Grant bolts the scene and, determined to get out of town, he manages to score a lift with a trucker to the city. When he emerges from the rear compartment, he discovers that he's been taken back to the city of Bundinyaba. And
Nightmarish.
and at his wit's end, he seeks out Doc Tyden at his shack to shoot the man down. But he ends up turning the gun on himself instead, and Grant wakes up in hospital. And after his recovery, he's driven to the train station by Doc Tyden and then returns to Tibunda, ready to start a new term as if nothing ever happened.
Oh.
Wake in Fright. Okay.
This is a true horror film. Like, this is a horror film for adults, I think, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. It's look, Jesus, I don't know where to start. Like, it's terrifying. Everything about it is terrifying. The people are terrifying. The location's terrifying.
Even the laughing.
Maniacal laughing. Crowds are scary in this movie. You know, there's the bizarre people everywhere. Even little touches like which stick in your mind. So there's in the busy pub. A red light comes on and then everyone goes completely silent and then stands up and has to look at a lest we forget, mural on the wall and do a kind of Anzac memorial service, brief one. Even that is frightening.
Get up, get up.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us pay a tribute to our fallen comrades. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
You know that still happens in
It
RSL
does.
clubs. It does.
RSL
It does.
At 6 p.m. though.
Yep.
It felt like it was very late.
It was the middle of the night.
Yeah,
much.
every RSL from what I've read, every RSL club still does that.
I'm embarrassed. Didn't know. Wow. But the red light is.
But the whole thing is weird and bizarre and creepy. Like,
Yes.
well, maybe let's talk about where it's shot. It's shot in Broken Hill, which is an industrial mining town of 30,000 people. It's located in the desert, 1,000 kilometres from Sydney. And in 1970, when the film was shot, men outnumbered women 3-1. So that's
3 to
sort of
1.
some context there. It looks nightmarish. I mean, I've never been to Broken Hill. It could be a lovely place, but not in this film.
No.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe something we could talk about is, all three of us have grown up we're not from downtown Sydney. So, I mean, when you guys watch this movie, how does it wash with your personal view or your personal experience of Australia?
Well, it's interesting because you have these two cherished myths, Australian myths, that of like mateship and the beauty and majesty of the Australian bush. And I think this sort of goes in opposition to that. It paints a different light on that, and I think the mateship is sinister and there's definitely there is some beauty out there in a strange way, but
Only in the coast though.
Yeah.
We all live on the coast.
exactly. But if you go out to the outback as a tourist, I'm sure you have a different experience. But if you have to live there,
If you step out,
Flies, sweat.
there you go. But if you step out of a bus, air-conditioned bus, and you go, oh, that's great, and then you get back in the bus, that's good.
yeah.
But what if you live out in a shack with Doc Tyden and he's cooking up roux and, wearing no pants and a singlet? I mean, it's pretty real.
Yeah,
But the buzzing of the flies and just the sweat. It was amazing, but it was so gross.
Well, look, it just captures so much of
And being hungover.
in the heat, drinking in the heat as well. It's too close to home. The whole movie is too close to home. Like, all of those little textural experiences you just mentioned, that like boiling hot. Particularly, coming from WA, like boiling hot, flies everywhere, and just scrub outside, like so hot that you can't really move outside. You've got to just stay in the shade, and then drinking and smoking as well. I remember, that's as a former smoker. I remember, you'd go to the big day out or something. You'd just be smoking all day and drinking and drinking, Tui's. or whatever, and just that it wearing off, and I don't know. It's but that's a
awful.
way of life in this movie for all of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really highlights the divide between elite cosmopolitan city Australians and those that live rurally, which still exists. And, Grant, he's the elite. He's the guy from Sydney who desperately wants to escape overseas, and, he's well-read and he's into literature and...
He wants to be an artist, I think, because he's got
he does,
pictures he's drawn on the wall.
Yep.
This is my first question. So Gary Bond, the actor, he's English through and through. Born in England, died in England. So are we reasonably meant to think that he is an Australian in this movie, albeit from the city? Because in the novel, the character is Australian, straight up.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
I thought he was English.
Oh, really?
Well, so did I until this recently.
Does it matter? I mean, you could read it both ways.
You could. In the movie, he says, "I want to go to London." He doesn't say, he doesn't say, "I need to get back to London."
Yeah,
right.
Do you know what I mean? So there's a hint that he's just passing as a posh Australian, I think.
But a lot of people of that generation, of our parents' generation, and earlier, would talk about going home to England, even though they were born in Australia and were Australians. They have this, a lot of them had this strange sense that the UK or England was home, and that one day they would go there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I honestly thought, because the way his accent is so English, but then again, I think it's good because it needs to be extreme. It needs to be pronounced, because an overseas audience, that all the people from overseas that I know can't tell how bogan we are. Do you know what I mean? Like they could see someone from Frankston, someone from the city, someone from Broadmeadows, and someone from Toorak, and maybe some clothes might give it away, but the way they speak wouldn't really stick out. You know what I mean? So they've really gone for it here, and they've gone for someone who, this guy does not. He does look like Peter O'Toole, and he does not look like he belongs in this landscape.
No.
At all.
I think that's the point.
Yes, the fish out of water thing, but it's just interesting because, they stop short of making him English. They're like, he's very much he's from Sydney, but he just sounds. And maybe back then, it was 50 fucking years ago.
Yeah, which is crazy.
People's accents, God knows what they were. I don't know.
Well, people in the US, when I was traveling through the US, people thought I was English.
Yeah.
People thought I was from England. They couldn't pick the Australian accent. Maybe it's not as broad as what you see in a lot of sort of Australian cinema that's broadcast overseas. But fuck, Americans don't know anything.
It's our audience you're talking about there, hey? Yep. So we've cleared that one up. That's good. Secondly, AJ, Jeanette looks 40. So I didn't know she was Tim Hines' daughter. I thought it was his wife.
Yeah,
for a very long time.
Yeah. I can see that.
I've only put it together.
I think people were rougher back then, though.
The dead eyes.
But she's meant to be. We've talked about this over and over again. She's meant to be a bright young thing. Do you know what I mean? Like who's sort of been crushed by the yabba or whatever. But she's meant to be 19 or something. You know it. She's meant to be 19.
No, but this is what's amazing about it, though. It's like even the hot chick is disgusting.
It's true.
What about the receptionist? The reception. I could relate to the receptionist.
The receptionist is great. She's got sores on her face.
Yeah.
And is just dabbing water all over her.
Yeah, in front of the fan.
So hot.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Your room for John Grant? I made a booking by letter. Oh, I'm only staying the night. I'm flying to Sydney in the morning.
You'll have to pay now.
You think we can manage that?
It'll be $4. There's $1 deposit on the keys. You'll get that back when you bring the keys back.
Thank you. Can you tell me where room 7 is, please?
Up the steps and down the corridor to the right.
Well, before we slag off Jeanette any further, Jeanette at that time was married to director Ted Kotcheff.
Really?
Oh.
Nepotism is alive and well.
Even in the 70s.
In the ABBA.
Oh, the yabba. It's shit that they called it Outback in the States.
Pretty typical though, isn't it? Like, you know, I mean, yeah. This movie was never going to be a hit though. I mean, it's too on the knuckle. Like if you were... They were a lot more rough and ready, but this is my dad's generation. They would have been a lot more rough and ready in 1971. I mean, the book's from 1961.
Yeah.
Oh.
Think about that. That's so. Yeah. Then, like, because I gave the book a listen, and knowing that it's from 1961, it's amazing how I mean, we always say this about anything that came out a while ago, but it's so modern. You know, like you listen to it and you go, "Oh wow, this is just so modern," and the thoughts are so modern. But to think that it was only a few minutes ago, it was 1959. It was
That's crazy.
And to be, you know, dealing with these themes, you just don't think about it, you know.
Yeah. Well, they tried to make it a few years earlier, actually. I think Dirk Beauregard was going to star in it.
Oh, yes.
And he was actually interested in adapting it for the screen, but it didn't work out. So
From the Night Porter.
From the Night Porter. Yeah.
Oh.
Dirk Beauregard.
Yeah, Dirk Beauregard.
He would have been good too, I guess.
Yeah.
But he would have been too old, I think, at that point. Maybe getting there.
Well, maybe he wanted to play Doc.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh.
I want to play Mr. Disgusto. Dog tired. Actually, we've got to give it up for the screenwriter, by the way. What's his name? Evan. So the book is written by Kenneth Cook, and the screenplay is by Evan Jones. Got to give it up to Evan because the screenplay, he's added some stuff that's good. So we don't meet Doc until he wakes up in his house. Whereas in the movie, he's at the 2-Up arena, and he comes to the party and does some party tricks. So it's quite clever. They seed him in, and this is the best bit. So Grant, when he gets driven crazy at the end, he does a Taxi Driver where he goes to kill Doc and then kills himself instead. Do you know what I mean? Or tries to kill himself. It's a bit like in Taxi Driver where he wants to kill Palantine and then ends up killing all the pimps and stuff. So that's not in the book. In the book, he straight up kills himself. That is brilliant. That's a brilliant bit of business, whether it was Evan Jones or Ted Kotcheff, whoever came up with that is that's magnificent.
You drank yourself under the table after a little episode with Jeanette. Get out. Don't get upset. We've all had our little episodes with Jeanette.
What a doll. Gallicurci. Better. You need a drink.
Oh, no. Water, please.
Yeah, but water's only for washing. Go on, drink it up. A bit flat. Come and get it.
No, thanks very much, but I don't.
No, I'm sure you don't. You better read it just the same. Come on, sit down. Sir John.
Does he kill himself in the book?
No, same ending. They go for that circular thing, But Jeanette is a nurse at the hospital.
Oh, okay.
So little things like that. But
I think it makes it more complex that he goes to kill Doc and then he falls further in despair because Doc's not there, and then he kills himself. Well, tries
absolutely.
to.
That's just it's outstanding development. You just go, wow, yes. And I think even the author would have to agree. He'd be like, it'd be one of those changes the author, I'm sure, would have gone, oh, geez, why didn't I think of that? of course.
Well, I did mention at the top of the podcast that I think this film is still really relevant, and I see kind of undercurrents of what they're saying, what they're commenting on still existing. Like, the brash, aggressive friendliness of some Aussies.
How you doing, mate? How you doing, mate?
Yeah, it's like a form of peer pressure, like a way to get you to conform or something, And I found this recently. Like, I was in Perth recently for catching up with family or whatever, but I went to a wedding and I caught up with an old friend, and he was pressuring me to get on the piss and to get smashed, like slightly aggressively.
You mad bastard.
And that stuff still exists.
How'd you be, you mad bastard?
New to the yabba?
New to the yabba.
Like the old place?
No, I think it's bloody awful.
You don't like the yabba?
No.
Will you have a drink?
No, I'm toying with this one, thanks.
Or drink it down or buy another.
Look, I'm flat broke and I can't afford to drink.
What's that got to do with it, man? I said I'd buy you a drink. You don't have to buy me one. Now drink it down.
Excuse me, please.
Hey, fella, come and have a beer with us. Come on, come and have a beer.
Right, thanks for that.
Come and have a drink, mate.
No, thanks.
Come and have a drink.
No, just not
Only
thinking
take a
about
minute. Come on, come and have a drink.
Look, mate, I've given up drinking for a while.
What's wrong with you, you bastard? Why don't you come and drink with me? I just brought you 50 miles late and dashing you one drink with me.
Look,
What's wrong with you?
What's the matter with you people, huh? You sponge on you, burn your house down, murder your wife, rape your child, that's all right. Not have a drink with you, not have a flaming bloody drink with you, that's a criminal offense, that's the end of the bloody world.
You're mad, you bastard.
Is that aggressive want, or perhaps it's a need of some Australians to have everyone in close proximity drinking? Is that a uniquely Australian thing? Because I don't really drink anymore, but is that something that happens overseas? Like, I can't imagine the French, like.
Well, that was my point when I went on my world trip just prior to COVID. I was embarrassed at how, for our country in that regard. So in Portugal, you'd just go, to some coastal area and there'd be, amazing architecture and whatever, and the sun's going down and they've got like a little cart there, wine with a view, and you can just have a wine in glass, in glass and walk. And it's not caged in. It's not like a Sunday session where it's just you walk along and then you bring the glass back. Do you know what I mean?
Well, explain that to our international audience, because it's a different deal in Australia.
In Australia, particularly in Western Australia, there's a lot of glassings. So it would be people get drunk and then they use the glass to attack someone. That would be pretty common. But the idea of alcohol is really regulated in Australia. So because we have no restraints. So there's all those, there's sort of the official rules which have been changed over time, which is like, when pubs close and they're not open these times, they're not open those times, when bottle shops close, all of that stuff. But then there's the social etiquette of, you can't drink before 11. And then, but unless you're at an airport. You go to an airport, you can drink.
All rules are off.
You go to an airport, you can drink at 9, and you go, and that to me reveals the what's really going on in this country. When you go to an airport and you go, geez, 9 o'clock, that guy's got a pint. Yeah. and he's not on a connecting flight. Like that's his first stop. He's on his way to Bali, and he's like, oh fuck it. Like he just couldn't wait. He's like everyone's waiting for an excuse, Well, some people I guess are getting bullied, but that's just one country. The only other one I'll mention is Japan, where you go to the baseball and then there are chicks walking around. So here you go to sport and it's mid-strength only beer, because anything more plastic. And you've got to, and they sort of make the journey of getting it. They build that in as a natural limiter. So because you got to go and get it, and it takes a long time, and you can't carry much. In Japan, chicks walk around with a giant keg on their back, and they're hot, by the way. Did I mention that? They're hot. So they're hot.
How heavy is a keg?
Well, they're sort of a half keg or something, but they're on their back, and they've got like a holster with a gun like thing, and they come around to your seat and fill up your beer in your hand. Because there's no problem.
We're
there.
missing out.
There's no problem there. Partly because in Asian countries they've got what's called Asian flush, that means they can't. It's a lot of Asian people.
I've got that.
Do you have that? It's where you drink and your face goes red, and it's a real thing
on the first drink.
And you sort of feel not great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's embarrassing.
There's a lot of people who are sort of allergic to it. So anyway, just those are my examples, Ricky, of just a couple of countries where they don't got a problem like we do, and they don't understand it. Like that, like you just go, oh, in my country, you've got to drink until you pass out, until you got to force everyone to drink around you. You know, even the most upstanding people are doing this. They're going like, oh, come on, let's have a drink.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you see that in the film, like, as soon as Grant, like, gets to this big, like, beer hall, watering hole, and he meets Chips Rafferty, and they have a drink, like, everyone finishes their drink really quickly except for him.
Oh, just
and then
they're
all waiting and staring at him until he sculls his drink so they can go and get another one.
And it's and the round anxiety. So it's whose round is it?
Yes.
You know? Like, because you've got to buy. And I remember when, being a drinker, and that was always a big anxiety, because sometimes you'd be out with a bunch of fucking people and you'd go, this round is going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I don't like some of these people.
Yes.
And
or this is the other thing that happens, like, you're with a lot of people and you have 4 or 5 beers before it gets to your round, and you've already tapped out. You're like, I don't want to drink anymore, but then you have to keep drinking because it's your round, so you have to buy another one.
Yeah.
Yes. Well.
So that's. I mean, I love all of that in the film. Is really, really good.
We sound straight edge though. People will be like, "Oh, you straight edge losers!" Like, just have a drink.
Have a drink. Yeah.
Have a drink.
But I think the other thing that's not. It's highlighted in the film, but it's not talked about as much as the alcohol, and that's the gambling, because according to a report published by The Economist, Australians gamble more and lose more than any other nation.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, we love to have a punt on the horses. We love the pokies. We love gambling. We love going to the casino. You can actually play this dumb 2-up game at the casino.
But we can gamble on anything. You can gamble on The Bachelor.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Like, you can gamble on anything.
Yeah.
And especially with the apps, it makes it so much easier. The apps are just flogged to us all the time on every ad.
I'm always disgusted to see big guys like Shaquille O'Neal or Samuel L. Jackson come to Australia and promote these betting apps. I'm like, do these guys, do they have no ethics or morals? Like, you've made a lot of money. Do you need to be spruiking a gambling thing? Like, particularly to a nation of problem gamblers,
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if they know how bad it is, because Shaq's a pretty stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Really. So
he does a lot for charity.
Think about it.
So.
It's such a problem that, and I'm going to age ourselves now, but it's such a problem that a hit song was Blow Up the Pokies. Which is about, like, we were all bopping along to this song, which it's a bit of a bummer, but the idea is, it was like, yeah, the pokies are bad. So while other people around the world are singing like, I'm spinning around and it's like buns, just buns, we're going, blow up the pokies and take them away.
Table, so they can say that the trains run on time. Flashing lights.
Do Perth don't have pokies, do they?
No,
do you guys
they
have
don't.
Pokies?
They don't.
No.
That's fucking insane. I just found that out. That's crazy.
My old man was like, he was pushing the pokies for ages. He was like, oh, because he's a sports club guy.
Yeah.
So he's like, if we had pokies, like the club would be doing much better, and like, we could outfit. We could have new uniforms and outfit this and do that.
Off the back of, like,
he was a realist.
Old ladies.
He was a realist.
That's right. Yeah, old ladies.
He'd be like, well, we could offer a cut price meal and whatever,
Yeah, they can get free tea and coffee.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
That shows how rich that part of the country is, though, that they don't need the pokies.
No, they don't. They don't.
But you do see the difference. Like when you go to like a big pub here that has pokies, like everything's brand new, everything's shiny and squeaky clean.
Everything's changed, every couple of years.
That's right, yeah, because the pokies finances that, yeah.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. So Crown doesn't have any pokies.
No, well, it's a casino.
No, the casino does. But there's
they're not
pubs
surf
don't
clubs
have it.
and pubs and stuff.
Right, okay.
Like, whereas everywhere else, that's the deal. In Vegas, there's slot machines in the airport.
Wow.
When you get off and there's a tiny little section where you can go and, just get your slot on.
So people cannot
Instant.
wait. They cannot wait to get to a casino, so they'll do it there.
I just think that, again,
that.
maybe this feeds into the film as well. Yeah, gambling is fucking depressing, and the fact that this guy loses all his money in the movie is just, to me, I mean, what a fucking idiot. You're just like...
I have $1 on you.
He's just... Well, that's one of my favourite scenes. Like, there's a really effective transition when Grant loses all his money in the game and the film cuts from his shattered face to him asleep naked in his filthy hotel room. And it works two ways because it shows, that Australia is fucking hot and sometimes you have to sleep naked. And, of course, air conditioning in the 1970s is not what it is today. But it's also this visual pun saying that he lost his shirt, so meaning that he lost all his money, which
that
is also
cut
great.
You're talking about, because the sound goes away as well.
Yeah.
They throw up the coins, sound goes, he watches, and we see his face change, and then the cut happens. That's better than every Australian movie in the last 50 years. That one cut is better than the whole deal. I'd never seen anything like that. Everyone would talk you out of that cut. Everyone.
But what else is great is it lets your imagination fill in what happens between the time he loses all his cash and he wakes up in the morning. Like, what the fuck? Like, he would have been thrashing around. He would have been throwing up. He would have been whatever. Like, just like in fits of anxiety. Like, and we have to fill that shit in.
But this movie, that you've just said why this movie is so great. This movie has limited explanation. It's like a nightmare or a dream. It's dreamlike. So it relies on images and showing us, not telling us. We don't get a lot of explanation. Yeah, there's some questions about, is he English or whatever, but who cares? It's like, that's minor. There's so many times where we are just, like even the lest we forget, the Anzac bit, it's not like, it's not like there's a big explanation where the guy goes, every day we do this, to honour the soldiers or whatever. And you go, fuck, what? Shut up. Shut up,
Yeah, it's not made in 2023.
That's right.
But again, it highlights Grant's fish out of water because he's sitting down, he doesn't realise he has to stand up, and it's this whole thing, and, and he looks really out of place again.
But it's just the dread. That he's going to lose the money.
Yes.
You're dreading it. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And you're just waiting. Oh,
yeah,
it's awful.
Sort of,
but amazing.
Yeah. Dreadful stuff.
So, Kangaroo Hunt. What do you think of that?
So, for everyone listening, there's a sort of a climactic sequence involving the killing of, maybe 30 kangaroos. Feels like,
Yeah, a lot.
And
it was full on.
Yeah. Look, I mean, AJ and I are real just total punk bitches when it comes to animals. I think it's fair to say. I mean, I'm not saying, it's not like Ricky's a abattoir worker. But we are extraordinarily sensitive to animal stuff. But even so, I mean, AJ, what did you think? What did you make of it with all that in mind?
But even I was feeling sick even with the car. When he's driving like a maniac and he's just the building.
Yeah.
It makes me feel quite nauseous.
Yes.
Let alone all the mayhem.
Yeah, all the killing. And then you're just seeing shots of just dead kangaroos.
Get out. Beauty, it's a boomer. Not too bad. Sorry, good skin in him, mate. Where's the surgeon? Yeah.
Doc eats them. Reckons they're the best part of the root.
Haven't you ever tried them?
No.
Better than oysters. Put lead in your pencil.
Yeah, well, for me, it was the up-close stuff. So it's when the big guy, I forget his name, he goes and he basically fights one of the wounded kangaroos and sort of wrestles with him, and then ends up like slitting his throat. And then when Grant he's sort of egged on, and he wants to try it as well, and then he basically stabs this kangaroo.
But it's not. It's sort of awkward and brutal, and it's not clean.
No.
It's like it's the way you would kill a human in sort of a fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In Brentwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, OJ Styles. Well, it's look, I thought that the sequence was it's really tough to watch, and I was like, I was a mess during it. I just can't stand animals getting killed like that. And I've heard, but I'm not foolish. I know how the world works, but I'm interested because they've got a card at the end that says that the RSPCA, I think, were involved, or it was a real ruse shoot, and they just sort of attended and whatever. And look, I think that's fair enough. I'm interested at the general outrage, particularly in 1971, because John Waters said this about a rather famous chicken that's killed in Pink Flamingos, and he goes, I don't see what the big deal is. He goes like, I don't think that chicken landed on my plate from a heart attack. So I don't understand what the problem is here. It had a better life than most. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good point. Like, I'm not doing that. There's lots of stuff I could say that obviously leans towards my point of view on this. But I'm just fascinated at where, because to me, if you are, look, maybe the main thing people say is, they're pests or whatever. So I guess that's what they say. Do they? Do they say that?
Well, it depends.
It's interesting because the title card says they were endangered, and we know now in 2023 that they are a pest in some places, and the government pays shooters to go out and kill them. So
sure, yeah. But just the general outrage, I'm like, well, what's the difference? Like if they get shot, or if they get like one of those "No Country for Old Men" things in their head, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference? It's all fucked.
Well, one of the things that we're not taking into account is that there was a very famous TV kangaroo that was at the height of its fame during this time, and that is Skippy the bush kangaroo. Skippy.
Yeah.
So that sort of played into it as well, I think.
But maybe that's why this movie's a masterpiece, because like El Topo and like some other real truly great movies, it has full commitment, it goes the distance, and it's got stuff in it that, it doesn't matter whether you could do it now or not. It was the times it was, and it incorporates it into the film to create sort of a unrepeatable masterpiece, in that you just go, take out that sequence in the movie would be lesser.
I was going to say that. Yeah, definitely. His experience.
Yeah. You would have to do it in CG today. And I don't know if you guys have seen Wolf Creek 2.
Yeah.
There's a terrible CG kangaroo thing where Mick...
God, yes.
He's driving a truck and he runs over a whole bunch of kangaroos, and it just looks so fake.
Oh, yes. Silly stuff.
Yeah.
What's the matter, DJ? You're scared? It's only a baby. It's badly wounded. Let her go, you mug! Come on, Johnny! Come on, Johnny! Go get him! He's trying to dance with it. Come on! I got it through!
Goodness me. Is it that time again, AJ? I think it might be time for Keeper or Creeper.
Creepers, creepers, where'd you get those creepers? Creepers, creepers, where'd you get those eyes?
Just a couple for you tonight. Let's get into it nice and quick. Gary Bond as John Grant. So, school teacher, educated man, ambition, dreams. I mean, the modern equivalent, he's sort of interested in becoming an artist. The modern equivalent, I guess, beat maker or something, So someone...
Been there, done that.
So I'm just saying, you know what he's about, his jam. He's sort of working for the man at the moment. He's out in the country having to, do his service out there. In terms of look, sort of a Peter O'Toole look. I don't know what you think of that. Blonde hair, very soft features.
Yeah, he is. He's not full of femme, but yeah, he's got nice eyes.
A little bit. So there's a bit of that. Bit. Now, we did get a little peek at sausage. So
we did.
We did, yeah.
So again, I'm not the best judge of sort of incidental sausage. I feel like, we don't know what's going on later. So I mean, you all seeing it as we saw it can tell you is that it's not a micro dick.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Because anything could happen later. I'm just saying that it's just when you see that when you go, oh, there it is. Oh God, he doesn't have a baby dick. You know what I mean? Like, because so you can tick that off. Which I must say, as a female, there is. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's on the cards, right? It's on the cards where you go, this guy's great. It's awesome. He's really cool. And then you go home and
he's not packing.
Baby dick. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. So just so that's John Grant. We don't know a whole lot about him. There's a girl called Robin that he's into, but I think she's pretty much off the scene. I mean, how did you even contact people back then? Do you know what I mean? Right. So she's some surfer chick. Don't worry about her. Now, put him in the back of your mind for a second. Next up, we have Donald Pleasance as Clarence F. Doc Tyden. Now,
dreamboat.
Every woman wants a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Well, I got a real peach for you, AJ, I tell you. So, a medical man, educated, quotes philosophy. So,
that's true.
A bit of culture. Mainly like creepy philosophy, though, like at the wrong time, but about civilization falling apart and whatever. But so, a bit of culture if that's your thing. Full disclosure, he's got no hair. So, horseshoe, male pattern baldness, like, Prince William style. But that's that kind of thing. Sort of interesting body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whereas John Grant, school teacher, he's, quite athletic, lean. The doc is sort of skinny fat.
Yeah.
Do you know?
He's like a slug with legs.
Yeah, he looks like he's got that yellow bastard look from Sin City, a little bit. So, but anyways, he's more of a cerebral sort of guy. Now, likes drink, but who doesn't?
Yeah. In this film, yes.
His character, as he says, always up for a party trick, drinking in a handstand, 2-up, the embrace of another man, whatever.
He's up for it all.
Whatever is what I'm saying.
And the open relationship.
Well, and he's sort
true.
of, that he's, what do we say? Polyamorous. So, I mean, that's very different to John Grant. So he wants you to experience pleasure however you want, and he'll get the sloppy seconds. I think. So anyway, these are our two suitors, the first of 2023. Let's go through. Let's do it. What do we got? John Grant and Doc Tyden.
John Grant. He has got a good rig, and I was sad to hear that in the US version, he's got tidy whities on.
Really?
Does he?
Yeah, they covered that shit up.
The buns and the penis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Covering buns that's pathological. That's someone who's telling you that they can't stop thinking about buns.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gone.
Okay.
Wow.
Sure.
So good rig, nice eyes, but nightmarish.
Okay.
Just not great.
So not strong or?
Yeah, like the whole thing. I don't want to go on this trip with you. And you're going to be really fucked up after this.
Okay. So you see, maybe he's got some work to do, you think?
Yeah.
Maybe come back to him later. Okay. So that's a
Yeah.
creep up. And what about
creep sweep?
It's a creeper sweep. So no.
Gone.
Come on, I thought he may have been in with a chance.
No.
He's a fun guy.
He is a fun guy. He's up for anything. That's true.
What a disgust, though. What a wonderful disgust.
I think the sweating doesn't help.
Where'd you get them? Won't you put me one? Don't you die, man. Pay to advertise. Tell them about me. Where did you get
I think this might be my favourite Donald Pleasance performance. He's in Escape from New York, Halloween. Is he in Flight of the Phoenix? Maybe. He's in a lot of good movies, and this is extraordinary. He just is rubbing this role all over his body, just drinking and being a dirty, gross guy, saying the worst stuff. Like maybe the worst thing he does isn't as coarse as everything else. The worst thing he does is he's rude in that he speaks the subtext. So he's very straight, but to a rude extent. So he's constantly saying, to Grant, like, stuff that and inappropriate stuff as well. So he'll just keep hectoring him about Jeanette and saying, bringing her up and saying, she's, I want to marry her, and people would call her a slut, and but women should be able to do what they like. And he's like, what do you think about it? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, well,
He's just sweating and licking his lips while he's saying
and having
it.
an outside shower while he's talking,
and clothes. He's got pants on.
Pants on, and you just go, that's not a shower. You know what that is.
If I were ever to marry, Jeanette's the sort of girl I'd like to marry. She likes sex. She likes experiment, and she likes variety. We thought about getting married once, but neither of us could live with one person for very long. Still, she visits me from time to time when I want her, and when she gets bored with them. What's wrong with a woman taking a man because she feels like it?
I really don't know.
Because there's nothing wrong with it. Sex is just like eating. It's a thing you do because you have to. Not because you want to, but most people are afraid of it. You seem offended by my little discussion of Jeanette. In the circumstances, I thought you'd be interested.
What did you think of his accent before we leave Pleasance?
I liked it. Yeah.
I think it's quite convincing as an Aussie accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're one of these countries that is pretty hard on people about the accent. Like, you know what I mean? It's a very difficult accent. It is. And I thought his was like 90%, 95% good, great.
Yeah.
It wasn't Mr. Prime Minister. The Simpsons,
Oh no. So one thing I wanted to mention was the lamps and the spotlights and the sun, which is like sort of an ever present thing. Like in the sort of male, the implied sex scene between the Doc and Grant, you've got him. The Doc's kind of menacing him with a lamp and putting the lamp on him, and then in a lot of the 2-Up games, you see the lamp sort of comes down on the screen, and then whenever he's outside, it's fucking hot, and you see the sun beating down on him. Like, I think that's
interestingly, some of those images are in the book, which is great. It's a very cinematic book in that, he throws the coins up, and it does mention the explosion of light that he stares into and things like that, and that's why the movie's so beautifully directed, is that it's cinematically written in parts, and absolutely, that the blazing sun and all the lamps and lights are a total theme.
Yes, yeah, and also colors. Like Kotcheff wanted all the costumes and the set to be warm colors, so people are always wearing oranges and yellows, and there's no cool colors except in one scene, and that's the beach daydream scene where you've got the rolling waves and the chick comes out of the water, which I thought
and
was
Jeanette's
interesting.
wearing green. Is her name
Ah,
Jeanette?
is she?
Yeah.
It is Jeanette.
Yeah, she wears green. Yeah.
It's got sort of a floral number on as well at one point. If memory serves.
Yeah. That's all I can remember in regards to colours. Because, but the 70s was a kind of brown and yellow and orange time, I guess, anyway.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, interestingly, the film comes out, now correct me if I'm wrong, Ricky, but the film comes out in 1971 and, to middling business, didn't do very well in Australia. People thought it was a little too, they were offended or too close to home or whatever. Kochev reckons the film wasn't really pushed overseas. It had changed title that people didn't really understand. It went to Cannes, and I think it, obviously was well received.
He did well. He got nominated for an award there.
Grand Prix or something, and it was did well in France, and then that was it. It just died. The prints were lost and used as a bargaining chip in companies folding, and it was just kicked down the line and all over. And then Kochev tells this amazing story about someone. Was it the editor on the film in his spare time he loved the film and he thought it was seminal and really great, and so he spent 13 years in his spare time when he wasn't working on stuff traveling around the world looking for a print of this movie, which
is incredible,
which is beyond a joke, you know what I mean, because that's true heroism. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's non-life-saving heroism. In that it's just like, it's such a gift. This movie's so amazing. So they found a print allegedly in Pittsburgh or something like that. So in America, in a warehouse, allegedly labeled for destruction, soon. And I don't know whether they've added that last bit for a bit of mayo, but either way,
I'm eating it up. I'm liking the mayo.
Either way, so then that's only the beginning. They find it and then it's a mess. So someone else spends at one of the the societies here in Australia, spends 2 years frame by frame cleaning up the negative, creating a new negative, and then it comes to where at least Ricky and I first saw it in 2009 on the big screen on DVD, and the rest is history. So it's sort of like, and when it came out, it was like a brand new movie. It looked great. It just seemed like, and I don't know, I got this feeling, when I watched it, and I still have it. I'm delighted that we have it, but I'm so annoyed, because we had 40 years, including my time at uni and everything, where it wasn't around, when clearly it's better than everything else. And we've created the scaffolding now to not make that film. So, because I was just thinking about this got me thinking about how amazing this movie is and why I love it, because usually our films are so dickless, you know what I mean? Like, this is a serious piece of art and it's from 50 years ago, but it seems like, so current, so modern, which is why it was remade as a mini-series on, because we could never make something like this now. We have to just remake it. And then the government-fed infrastructure and the ridiculous hoops you need to jump through in this country are literally set up to stop this kind of art being made. So, and the conspiracy is real. So the left-leaning, self-serving elites who work at the funding bodies, Australian funding bodies, and that's how movies are funded in Australia when they're not. Whereas this movie was made by companies. It's made by an Australian company and an American company trying to make money. And they made a movie and they didn't have weird bureaucrats looking over their shoulder. Now, Australia can only be bureaucrats. So basically, in order to... these elites, in order to protect their positions, they spout woke nonsense and they preference woke projects, and therefore, this whole film would never have happened. Basically, they're just trying to ensure that their position is safe. Like, they would never hire a Canadian director, to tell an Australian story. Never, ever. We would never do that. And they would look at the list of people who worked on it, and they'd say, not there needs to be 50% women or something, and you'd go, oh, whatever. Can't it just be the best people to make Wake in Fright? It's like, so all the decisions that are in place. Actually, and Ricky sent this wonderful article about a fairly famous theatre in Melbourne called the Malthouse Theatre that put on a one-woman show of Wake in Fright. So think about that. Wake in Fright, a one-woman show.
Yes.
And it's just, it looked like the wokest thing ever. Do you know what I mean? Like it looked like it was totally drained of everything that made the film great.
What's most amazing to me is that it got the reviews that it deserved, which I was surprised by. Because most of the time, people in this country who review theatre or film are aspiring theatre makers, theatre creators, and filmmakers.
And they need access.
And they need access. So if they rubbish things too much, then their name, gets tarnished and they don't get funding. So
Absolutely. So, not to be a downer, but I think that and I'm not going to watch the miniseries. We don't, it's one of those cases where you just go, why are you doing this? Like, the movie's perfect. It's perfect. Don't change a thing. I shudder to think of what that miniseries would be like, let alone the one-woman show, which I think I would have had to have brought rotten fruit to throw.
Why couldn't the one-woman show be Chick at the Mines?
Sure.
That would be a good one-woman show.
Like a new work.
Yeah.
But that's a new thing, though.
No, that's what I mean. Like, why does it have to be based on, like...
No, because they went through this stage of where they were just getting cult movies and stuff and going, oh, Solaris. And then I'd go and see it and I'd say, I can't wait to see what all the women are doing in this one. And then I'd get I'd go, oh, I'm going to see, and they'd fuck up anything, no matter what it was. Picnic and Hanging Rock, it didn't matter. Yeah. Like, you'd just go and see it and you'd go, oh my God. And they'd just change it and they'd look at a great story and they'd go, now, how can we make this sexless, pious, judgmental, annoying,
shit.
And very modern? Just shit. Yeah, how can we make it shit? And then they did that.
If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too.
Well, let's put this movie on the rack, shall we? First things first, in the Me Too Meter, 2023. Heavens to Bechdel. We're continuing the Bechdel test. If this is your first time tuning in a while, the Bechdel test is an informal way to evaluate bias against women in films and other media. A work is said to pass the Bechdel test if it, 1, has 2 named women who, 2, talk to each other about, 3, something other than a man. So 2 named women who talk to each other about something other than a man. So there's only one major female character in this, and that's Jeanette, and she has no other woman to talk to about being a tech CEO or what it means to be a sassy lawyer or whatever the fuck. So I think it fails the Bechdel test. So there you go. So I guess don't watch it.
Are there only 2 women in this film?
There's Robin in flashback. There's Jeanette, and there's a couple of barmaids and stuff. But
right. Yeah.
Then again, we don't know. We don't hear about their side hustles in marketing, or
graphic
design, or how
fashion,
or singing or whatever. So it doesn't count. So the charge is just a couple, because I don't know what you guys can add to this if you like. So, a lost film, they say. Well, we found it, and you know what else we found? The patriarchy. Okay. Another film populated by cis-het males. Don't worry, all the major creative roles were also filled by able-bodied men. This film was teeming with hulking, sweaty men packed cheek by jowl next to each other like beef on the rack. And in others, engaging in rough and tumble, their powerful pistons working as they grunt and gnash, one body attempting to dominate the other until wet they fall in a heap, spent. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, let's have a look at the only women we do meet in the film, since Ricky brought it up before. Jeanette, the hotel clerk, whom I forgot, and Robin. All of these women are defined by their bodies, okay? Robin has her agency removed completely, as we see her only in a picture in Grant's, wallet, dressed in a revealing bathing suit. There she lives in his pocket, like a possession, as all women do. The hotel clerk is seen gently dipping her fingers in water and running her wet fingers across her chest to cool her body, and it is the piggish men who will interpret this as some kind of signal that she's up for it. If a woman wants to rub her body orgasmically at the reception desk of a hotel, you should let her. But if you ask her out, then you best pack your things and lawyer up, because that's not on. And finally, there is Jeanette, who is presented as a bored and complete horn dog slag who likes to screw everyone for something to do, including the grotesque Doc Tyden. If that is indeed her wish, then that is beautiful and empowering, by the way. Doc Tyden, let's talk about Doc Tyden. So some may say that he preys upon Grant, gaslights him, gets him drunk, and then sodomizes him.
Oh.
This is just the sort of discrimination we need to address, because in fact Doc Tyden is a proud member of the LGBT plus community, and therefore he should pretty much be able to do whatever he wants whenever he wants. So that's what he should be able to do. And furthermore, just where does this school teacher get off anyway? Being disgusted by a sexual orientation that you're not interested in is, I don't know, something they did in the Third Reich or the Klan probably. If John Grant was a true progressive, then he would let Doc Tyden savagely roger his bum. After all, not engaging in unwanted sex with someone is likely to hurt their feelings. And
give it up.
We can't have that.
I can't believe you said bum.
So I've been listening to that great Eminem song, is it Just Lose It, I think. Oh, no. We've been listening to that, but there's another track on that album where he says that. Ass Like That is the song. That's right. So shout out to Slim. All right. So anything to add to this? Because there's a lot going on in the movie, but I just picked out a few choice bits. So,
well, it's a whole other can of worms, but the Indigenous representation is, is wanting.
It is. Well, interestingly, I thought it was appropriate for the time. I mean, there's a one guy at the beginning in the train, and there's
that's true.
School student, one of the school students.
And the bar guy at the very start, where Grant has the school, he's married to an Aboriginal lady.
Oh, okay.
She's out the back.
Sure. I mean, look, I thought, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, there could be more, but then again, I'm like, well, it's not really about that. It's about something else. And whereas now it would 100% be about that and nothing else. So, that's pretty much what they would do.
So how does it rate? I'm getting a feeling it's high, but with these things, it's either high or it's low, and it's confusing. So
yeah. Look, I don't know.
I like that we created the meter, yet we still don't understand the meter.
But that is why the meter works. Okay, it's because it's sort of like a frustration. Like why can't the meter just work? Why has it got to be? I'm using this to decide whether I should cancel someone or whether I should, start screaming in someone's face when they suggest I watch Indiana Jones or something. So it's like I need to know what to do. And then in this case, on one hand, it's populated by men, but they're all toxic. And that's a documentary. That's probably what Ricky does all the time. So
I think so. He said he could relate.
There's no women in it, but then that's a problem. But then again, I don't know. I just don't know.
I think it's high because of Janet's treatment. Because something that I just thought of is when she says to her dad, "I'm going for a walk with John here," Like you kind of get a sense that everyone knows what's going to happen, what's going to go down.
Yeah.
So that she's just kind of being passed around, and even her dad's kind of cool with it.
Pass that Dutch on the left-hand side. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I knew. We all knew. So, yeah, that is troubling, I suppose.
But she's leading him down there.
Oh no, is she? Can that happen?
And she stood up to Jack.
Honestly, can that happen
Thompson?
now? Like if imagine, is there any place in the Western world where you would be able to say, "Oh, well, she led him down"? Imagine that.
I'm saying it.
I know you are, but everyone else people would just be like, they'd be like, those words don't go together. And you go, what do you mean? And he's like, she's clearly a hooer, and she's taken him down behind the shed for
shelter shed.
Whatever goes on there.
That's right.
But he has all the power and privilege as a white man.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I think it's high.
I'm going to call it. I'm going to say it's high. I'm going to say it's 10. It's full toxic.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah. And
even he finds it to be toxic.
And I think it is toxic. And because the Guardian people would watch this and they'd go, yes, Jack Thompson and all the other people, they are toxic and it's terrible, but it's also, there's no girl bosses in it. So that because that's the thing, they can't see that the point of the movie is that all those guys are monstrous. They would happily destroy the movie by having, I don't know, who's that chick in Ghostbusters remake with the glasses?
Oh,
McKinnon.
That's yes.
Yeah.
They'd have her
Kate
in
McKinnon.
it. They would destroy the movie. They'd go, we want her in it, and she's the pub owner or something, and she's doing all these quips.
And she kicks butt.
She kicks butt. And they would happily destroy the whole movie for the sake of, of that, So yeah, 10 out of 10.
Okay, so we're unanimous, 10 out of 10?
Sure.
Excellent. Bring on Ashley Judd.
I am not as nasty as racism, fraud, conflict of interest, homophobia, sexual assault, transphobia, white supremacy, misogyny, ignorance, white privilege.
I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too.
All right, just want to go a quick bit of business, AJ, just quickly. Boobometer, just get it out of the way quick. No, so the quantity there's not a lot, but there's enough.
No.
What sort of Jeanette?
Side boob.
There was side boob involved, but we do see a bit of Jeanette's something. She's got something going on. So one pair. Quality, modest at best, sizing wise. However, this will be a surprise to you. Tan lines, a welcome touch. Welcome, very welcome.
Oh.
I bet you had no idea.
I did not.
Ricky, tan lines? Yeah, it's good. It is good. It is
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Wow. It is good. So the moonlight setting also lifted the overall score, I think. So full slide whistle. Okay. So yes, that's the boobometer. People thought they weren't going to hear the boobometer this year. They were like, oh, they went a bit far with that. Well, we haven't gone far enough. So.
All right, are you ready for some reviews?
Come on.
So I've got some reviews from the day and some reviews from when it was re-released in 2009. So a review of the Cannes premiere in Variety called it a credible effort from the Australian film industry, even allowing for the fact that key technical and acting credits are British. The end result is a forceful glimpse of little-known territory in which the emphasis is on booze and violence with a touch of sex for good measure. Gillian Hanson of the Monthly Film Bulletin wrote that Canadian director Ted Kotcheff has captured the mindless brutality of life in the outback with extraordinary facility, yet despite its unmistakable competence, the film's bite is blunted by the script's shallow and largely unmotivated characterization of John Grant and by the loosely knit and over-melodramatic storyline which never achieves thematic coherence.
Bollocks.
So a local review for you here. Matt White in the Sydney's Daily Mirror said it will shock and disgust and trigger off tidal waves of indignation from those who still believe our outback is the backbone of the nation and Sandra Hall in the Bulletin said that it's the first film in a long time to tell Australians something worth knowing about themselves, and that makes it a landmark.
I agree.
So Ebert reviewed this in 2009 and said, it's not dated, it is powerful, genuinely shocking and rather amazing. It comes billed as a horror film and contains a great deal of horror, but all of the horror is human and brutally realistic. Don Groves of SBS gave the film 4 stars out of 5, claiming that Wake in Fright deserves to rank as an Australian classic as it packs enormous emotional force, was bravely and inventively directed, and features superb performances. American critic Rex Reed, an early advocate of Wake in Fright, praised the film's restoration as the best movie news of the year and said it may be the greatest Australian film ever made.
Correct.
Which I agree with. So, trivia next. And Chips Rafferty refused to drink non-alcoholic beer during the filming. He was the only actor to do so. He said it wouldn't be realistic. He also told Ted Kotcheff that he said, "You concentrate on the directing, I'll concentrate on the drinking." The director calculated that Rafferty was drinking up to 30 pints per day.
That's amazing.
That's a lot. It's a lot of beer. So, according to the DVD commentary, the artificial banknotes printed for shooting the 2-up scene looked so realistic that 2 extras were later arrested for trying to pass them off as genuine currency. That's such fantastic. An Australian thing to do,
yeah,
hey?
Definitely.
And just on that 2-up scene, all the blokes in there are from a 2-up den in Sydney that Ted Kotcheff went to.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
And he got them all. Even the guys running it are the guys that run it.
Amazing.
In real life.
Wow.
That's
great.
Simmer down, boys. Settle down.
When you're right, Charlie, now, come on.
When you're ready, chaps.
When you're ready.
Fair
There you
go.
go. There you go.
So, during an early Australian screening, one man stood up, pointed at the screen and protested, "That's not us," to which Jack Thompson yelled back, "Sit down, mate, it is us."
Simple retort. Good on you, Jack.
Yeah. So the scene where John is eating the steak and Doc is drinking and following the 2-up game was apparently a nightmare to edit because Donald Pleasance kept switching which hand he held the beer with. So he wanted to cut between takes, and I think if you look closely, there is one cut where it swaps. So we mentioned the accent, and the Australian crew were hugely impressed by Donald Pleasance's Aussie accent. And I've got 2 more pieces of trivia here. Wake in Fright was the last film to feature the veteran character actor Chips Rafferty, who died of a heart attack prior to the film's release, and the first film with Jack Thompson, who went on to be, quite a well-known Australian star.
Chips wasn't a health nut, by the sound of it.
No, 30 pints. Ain't no thing.
Yeah. So, musically, the primary instrument featured in John Scott's opening score is the Ons Maintenant, which is an early electronic keyboard instrument from France with a sound comparable to a theremin. And the now disgraced Australian musician and painter Rolf Harris was the film's musical advisor.
Hey.
Tiny kangaroo down.
Yep.
Sport.
The score does feature a little bit of wobble board, so that was a Rolf Harris thing.
Well, that makes it scarier that Rolf was involved, eh?
Yeah.
For overseas listeners, Rolf Harris is sort of our Bill Cosby. Same stuff. Same sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's great trivia. That's really good. It's too good. What a bumper episode, if I do say so myself.
So what's on the cards for...
We continue our exploration of this fine country to 1985's Fortress. Now, I'm not talking about the Christopher Lambert movie.
Yeah, I remember that. I watched that when I was way too little.
I guarantee you we'll be doing that movie on this podcast, just not currently. Fortress is from 1985. It stars Rachel Ward. It's written by Everett DeRoche, who did, I think, Patrick and goodness me, Long Weekend. And
2 good films.
Yes, and yeah, I can't wait for you guys to see it. So it's I saw this when I was a kid, and yeah, it made quite an impression.
Oh.
All right.
Nice.
So get ready.
Well, we said what we said.
Oh.
Yeah.
Baby dicks and all.
Maybe do. I think I said something about like LGBT bums. Yeah. Yes.
We insulted our American listeners, just usual.
All right. Well, until next time, long live the new flesh.
Long live the new flesh.
I can't believe you said bum bum.